Hi, this tutorial will show you how to create a 3D carousel for an Umbraco page. The agenda for this tutorial then is we'll do a demo of the 3D carousel. We'll then take a look at the Umbraco architecture to support the carousel. And finally we'll take a look at some relevant code snippets, which will include an overview of the HTML and CSS designed to support a 3D carousel. We'll take a look at the 3D carousel jQuery plugin, and finally we'll give some consideration to the use of jQuery mobile events. Here's a look at the 3D carousel on my personal website. It features hover over stop. The Umbraco configuration will allow you to link to a video or a content page. Videos will open in a new tab. Content page will replace the current one. It also features jQuery mobile events, so you can change the direction of the carousel. It also supports mobile use, so you can see in mobile that there's more of a zoomed in approach taken just to make the content appear larger on phones. And that's essentially an overview. If we do a quick inspection, we can see how the carousel actually works. So you'll see here that there's a hidden carousel where all the carousel items are located around it in a 3D space, and when this central carousel div is rotated, all the carousel items preserve their 3D z-axis location to maintain the 3D look. The Umbraco architecture for the 3D carousel is as seen here. On my home page, I add controls just by adding a new section. So if I had accordions tabs, they would just be sections. So 3D carousel is just another example of that. And what we can see is we have the document type 3D carousel section, which looks like this. We'll see that the carousel is actually just nested content of carousel slides. In addition to that, we're able to set the carousel width. So that's the width of each of these items. We set the rotation interval, the speed of rotation, and we set the carousel image height so that the size of the image is fixed to that setting for all the items in the carousel. And if we look at the initial configuration, we can see I've set a width of 270 pixels, 1.5 seconds rotation, and the image height will take 40% of the screen real estate. If we look at the slides, we'll see that we can change the background colour, in this case a gold gradient. We can set the picture for the top, and we can set whether it's a content link or a video link. Also, the slide title, I made a rich text box so that the actual content within here can be as flexible as you need it to be. I also configure it to allow a button. The CSS will ensure that the button will appear at the bottom of the screen, and it can link to a content page, a video page, or a piece of JavaScript. And that's essentially the Umbraco configuration. Here's an overview of the HTML and CSS then. So you can see the element structure here, where we have a 3D carousel container with the perspective set, so that's the kind of depth, and we have that set 1000 pixels for desktop and 400 for mobile, so that appears much closer on mobile. The mobile breakpoint we've set in CSS is 768, so iPad. We center the 3D carousel, and the Umbraco parameter will set the width. Then the carousel itself will be placed within that, and it is given a rotation based on the number of items in the carousel, so that each item will rotate to the front view. The actual items themselves are rotated around the central carousel, so that as the carousel is rotated, the items around it are preserved in the 3D space. We also set the translation for the carousel items, and the Z-axis set at 340 for desktop and 150 for mobile. Aside from that, we just set up the image and the carousel title and a link to the content page, and that is essentially the structure. The last part to look at is a couple of code snippets. So I created a 3D carousel jQuery plugin, which is what you see in front of you. So standard structure of a jQuery plugin, and basically we initialize the plugin, create methods that are used in the plugin, and we bind the events, and then we start the rotation. On the initialization, helper function, C# format equivalent. We set the defaults if they haven't been set by the Umbraco template. So we identify the carousel container, carousel within it, default speed, and where the items are located in the HTML, and we set the rotation degrees for each item based on the number of items configured in the Umbraco nested content. We pause on hover if set, and so we set up a few items that we can then target. The methods that we create are one to rotate the carousel. Carousel is based on the number of items. We build up the CSS for the rotation, and we perform a rotation by moving the carousel item. We start rotation by using a timer. And we set the interval based on the configured interval in Umbraco, and each time that interval is reached, you rotate carousel by one slide. Other methods for stopping the rotation would be any timer that we've set up, and we use jQuery mobile events on mobile, so we can rotate the carousel left or rotate it right. Then bind events makes use of those methods. So carousel items, when we mouse enter or mouse exit, we stop rotation, start rotation. Likewise for touchscreen on mobile, we capture the tap and swipe left and swipe right events. That's where jQuery mobile comes in, and actually made a custom build of jQuery mobile. If you take the full library, it comes with CSS and tends to screw up the look and feel of your page. So yeah, use a custom build jQuery mobile, and I just tap into the tap and swipe left and right, and that's essentially it. So the last part is the Umbraco template, and that makes use of the 3D carousel and the custom jQuery mobile. Basically we build up the HTML as discussed in the Excel template that I showed you, and we also build up the mobile CSS variant. I wanted that placed in the head section as a style element, just so that the CSS is in place when the HTML is first displayed. I didn't want to wait till the jQuery ready event had fired and then insert the style, just for a cleaner presentation. And that's the template.